I have a lot of trips today, work trips, work visits, site visits. I'm visiting customers. So I figured I'll just talk to you while I'm in the car. And this is new to me. I've never done that. Today I wanted to talk mainly about how do you start your first few weeks at the job? 30, 60, 90 day plan. And I figured I'll show you a day in the life of a solution specialist. So killing two birds with one stone. If you like this form of video, let me know. And if you don't know me, my name is Ramzi Majaba. I'm a sales engineer out of Ottawa, Canada. Well, I'm a solution specialist out of Ottawa, Canada now. And I like to talk about this. So for today, what I'm doing is I have a few meetings. They don't really have an agenda. So generally speaking, when we talk about meetings, they have to be agendas or we have to have something to talk about. Today, the meetings that I have in person are purely for relationship building. I have nothing to sell them. I mean, unless they want to buy. But I'm just there to meet, see how they're doing, and if they need anything, if they need help with anything. And one of whom used to be a customer of mine from my old company. They don't currently buy from us too much, but he said yes to meeting us. So I shall be meeting him. I have no expectations whatsoever. I'm pretty sure there will be no sale out of it. So it's just someone I'm going to meet and talk to. Something about sales and sales engineering that's annoying. You develop relationships, you build it, and then they leave. They leave the company, they leave the team, they go somewhere else. And now you have to rebuild that relationship with somebody else. And that's what I'm doing today. So it's another team. My champion, the person who used to put in POs by simply trusting what I'm telling them, and I haven't disappointed them. He left the team. He went somewhere else. He actually became a sales engineer after I've been bugging him for years to become one because I thought he would be great at it. He finally decided to do it, and now he's a sales engineer. And that means for me, as a sales solution specialist, which is another term for hybrid sales engineer, more on the sales side though than the sales engineer part. I do work with sales engineers who I trust to do a lot of the work. A lot of the work that we do as sales engineers within our company is post-sales. A lot of that work, I just leave it to the sales engineer who's been doing that for 10 years plus and loves doing it. You find people what their strengths are and you lean on it. So that's my second meeting for today. Now, I did the mistake of scheduling meetings all over the place. So I'm driving 20 minutes west of my home, and then I'm driving all the way almost back to my home, and then I'm driving all the way back west. It happens. It's not always the case. The good thing about it is I scheduled the meeting. Right now it's 10:15. My meeting is at 10:30. So I scheduled the meeting after traffic, and that's a benefit of being a sales engineer who works from home, or a solution specialist or a salesperson, whatever it is. You can schedule most of your meetings based on your schedule. A lot of SEs, a lot of salespeople that I know like to take meetings in the morning and do work in the afternoon. You can do that. Some people do the opposite. You work with salespeople and SEs. So your time is tied to them. Your time is tied to your customer. For example, my customer that I have a meeting with in the afternoon, this was the only day available for them. So I couldn't schedule it some other day. All right, everybody. So 10:30, I mentioned that I had a meeting. It was just a relationship meeting. But customers don't tend to want to meet with people unless there's something, and we were able to figure that out. I didn't come in with the expectation of figuring anything out. I just came in to meet. I think he did the same, and then when we started talking, we started consulting with each other, I guess. Started brainstorming, and then as soon as we started brainstorming, he was interested in what we got to offer for that. So that's a great thing to do from a relationship building perspective. I mean, I didn't have an agenda. So this was great. And now I have another meeting with another gentleman. This is more about planning and figuring out what they're going to do in the future. So there is a bit of an agenda. Also, it's to build a relationship. Now, let's go back to the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day plan. When you join a new company, I want to talk about that a little bit. A lot of people show up to a company. They don't know what they're going to do. They count on somebody else in the company to tell them what to do, and that's not always a good thing. In my experience, many people don't know what they want you to do. They have HR send you a list of things that you need to do, which is kind of useless to your job. It's more about benefits and stuff like that. Keep in mind that the 30, 60, 90-day plan, what I have here is a template. It might shrink or it might expand depending on the amount of products you have, depending on the complexity of the products, depending on the requirements. So use it as a way to think about what you're going to do, but then adapt it and modify it whenever you meet with your manager, with the SE manager, to see what their expectations are. Maybe they're expecting you to do something else in the first 60 days versus what I have in mind here. First 30 days, week 1, right? We come in week 1. Week 1 is kind of a wash. You don't really do much. I had to wait a couple weeks one time to get my brand new computer. Although in many other companies, I got the computer the day up. You get the computer and you have to do some HR stuff, from signing paperwork, from about benefits. A lot of it you sign before you accept the role, but some of it you have to sign as you're going through it, because they have to tell you about this, they have to tell you about 401k, they have to tell you about, if you're in Canada, RRSPs. Try to say that 3 times fast. So there's, I think, a couple of days of just waiting and getting email working, getting access to all the different software like Salesforce, Concur, if you expense anything. A lot of different software, and you're gathering information here. What I would recommend you do while you're waiting for these things is to try to get an overview of the portfolio. What is it that the company that you're working for sells? What are the products? What are the product lines? Don't get into details in each one. Just get a list of each and every single one of the products, and just have it there so that you can reference it. The second thing I would do is meet with the account managers I'm supporting. If I'm supporting one account manager, I will meet with that one, and I will see what their expectations are, see what they think they help the customers the most with. What is the product they sell the most of? Why do they sell that? Who are the customers? Why do they buy from them? Meet up with the salespeople, account managers, account executives, whatever they're called in your organization, and hear what they have to say. What do they want from you? What is it that they need from you for them to be successful? A lot of these things you can ask also in the interview process, and then learn the sales process and where you fit into it. Like, what is the pre-sales process within the sales process? So that's week 1. Then week 2 to 4, by then hopefully you have the computer, HR is done, they left you alone to actually do some work, you have access to all the different software that you're going to need to do your job. At that point, you can dig in a little bit deeper about the product. Look through the products that you have. You already created the list. What is the value of each product? What does it bring to the table? What's the difference between all the different products? When you talk to the account manager the previous week, they mentioned some products sell more than others. Try to identify what that product is and why it sells more than others, why they buy it. If you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, you can see that 20% of your portfolio provides 80% of the revenue. What is that 20%? Figure that out. Then try to understand why. And start studying that product. If you need to be very technical, then you need to get technical. You need to get into the nitty-gritty. You need to install it on your computer, but you need to really play with it. And then study the business value of that product. Start a notepad. If you use Coda, that my friend Eric Glick is the head of sales engineering there. Check that out. If you use Notion, if you now use Loop from Microsoft, start a page and put down your thoughts about the different products that you sell and the one that you're focusing on right now. Put down questions that you want answered, and then follow through and get the answers. Talk to your teammates, see what are the frequently asked questions that they get from the customers and what are the questions they had for themselves early on, and start building relationships with teammates. So that's weeks 2 to 4. So that's the first 30 days. And if you have more than one product, then the first 30 days becomes the first 60 days, because now you're going to have to rinse and repeat. And when I come back from this meeting, I'll talk about week 5, 6, 7, as many weeks as I can, really. So I will see you when I get back. All right, so I just finished my last in-person meeting for today. Not the result I wanted. It's one of those, we'll get back to you. So yeah, we'll figure that out. I'm going to have to go home now and answer a billion emails. But let's talk about day 31 to day 60. So week 5, what I would focus on, try to understand a little bit more about the customer-facing knowledge. What problems are they trying to solve? Maybe I would work on some discovery questions. Would this be a good question? Would this, how can I improve that, this or that question? All this tech that I learned, what does it mean for the customer? And which persona does it help from the customer side? And if there are multiple personas, how can I translate this into all these different personas? Work on that in week 5. Again, if you have more products, you might have to stretch it, but if you don't, this would be a good time. And then how would you demo these products? Try to think about it. Maybe if you're not creating the demo, just think about the demo. What would you show? Why would it be important? All this is week 5. Week 6, I would then start finding someone to practice with. Not necessarily a mentor who I want them to show me what I'm doing right or wrong, just someone to practice with. Build relationships with more SEs and practice with them, so that when you're done by the end of week 6, you can actually do some role play for the discovery, for the demo, how to handle POCs, all that. And then week 7 and 8, I would repeat week 5 and week 6. And even if you have one product, just drill it some more. You did the role play, get the feedback, and do it some more. If you have more products, then you're gonna have to move on to the next product. If you have a coach, like me, do it with your coach. If you don't have a coach, well, I'm here. Check me out. Join me. That's day 31 to 60. When I get home, I'll talk about days 61 to 90. Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 6 o'clock. So I had a couple more meetings. I had a couple of coaching calls and office hours for the SE hotline members. So the day is almost over and it's been interesting. So we covered days basically 1 through 60. And again, it could stretch, it could shrink. If the company's faster, it could go faster. If your company is slower, it could go slower. We don't know. But here are some ideas. Now we're going on to day 61 to day 90, basically week 9. And I'll join week 10 with it. The goal here is to shadow as many SEs as possible. If you can shadow them before, by all means, do that. If you haven't done so yet, you should do that now. Start shadowing other SEs. Start looking at their styles, looking at how they do things, why they're asking certain questions. Could you be asking questions differently? Are they doing the right job? Because I've seen many SEs who've been doing this for like 10, 20 years who are bad at it just because they've been there longer than you. They're not necessarily better than you. Well, they're probably better, but if you're brand new, try to dissect what they're doing and can you do it better? Because it is always possible for someone to do better. And you can start meeting customers. You're not meeting them as the expert. You're meeting them as someone who's trying to learn from them. Why do they do their business in a certain way? Be humble about it. So I've found many customers, especially early on in my career, trying to help me, trying to give me extra information because I'm new, because I'm trying to learn, because I'm curious about them. You don't have to meet them as the expert. If you can learn their business, see how it relates to what you've been working on, that will help you down the line with future customers as well. Just being curious. Weeks 11 and 12, I would start taking the lead on the calls as much as possible. You can still have people on the call with you, other SEs, your mentors, your manager, your coaches. You can have them on the call with you, but I would take the lead. Then meet up with them and see what went right, what went wrong, then rinse and repeat and start building long-term relationships with customers. These are my thoughts. You could do it differently at your company. Your company can have a plan. I've seen companies have plans. I've seen companies have zero plans. If you're fast about it, you can meet people earlier. If you're slow, you can meet people later. You might get yelled at or maybe dinged in terms of performance about it, but it is fairly flexible. So that's it. So let me know your thoughts. If you've been doing this for a while, how have you onboarded in other organizations? If you haven't, what would you do differently? Because it's not perfect the way I have it. It works for me. That's what I've done in the past. What works for you? How do you do it? Nobody has all the answers. We just have pieces of information that we take and make our own. How would you make this your own? That's it for me. If you're looking for coaching, check out the SE hotline, reach out to me, connect with me. Let's have a chat. That's it. Get back to work. Peace. Or it's 6 o'clock, so go have a beer or hang out with your family.